Pizza, the backbone of American cuisine, made in Italy.
Pizza has been a cornerstone of all of our lives, from birthday parties to sporting events to those pathetic pizza parties we had in grade school where the slices were as thin as air. And there's been endless conversations about pizza ever since the beginnings of the internet, to which US state has the best slice, to the best pizza recipes, to fast food pizza tier list, to speed eating pizza. Like, pizza has a monopoly on the internet if you really think about it. Yet with all the wonders that the internet holds, there's one question regarding pizza that has yet to be solved. Or at least, nobody's ever been brave enough to ask the question in the first place. Which pizza is mathematically perfect? We focus so much on what makes up the pizza, to the quality of its crust, to the toppings that it's blanketed in, yet we forget to simply admire the finished product. But today, that ends. We are going to find out the answer to the pizza question that literally nobody asked. And if you stick around, you can find out how you can help me with this daunting task all by yourself. Now let's get to the lab, which is actually just my desk that's 1.5 feet that way, but you won't know that through the power of editing. Up first on the chopping block is... Let's get started. Whoa, wait. What am I doing to this pizza? Well, let me teach you something real quick. What we're actually measuring this pizza for is its circularity. And, as you may know, what makes a circle, well, a circle, is the fact that its radius, or the distance from the center of the circle to the edge on the circle, is the same value no matter where you draw it. So what we're actually going to do to this pizza is measure its radius at different points along the circle and see how much it changes. The more these radii deviate, the less circular it is. So what I'm actually doing here is marking points along the edge of the crust at 10-degree intervals, which will give us 36 points because circles are 360 degrees. I'm then going to take a picture of the pizza, accounting for lens and perspective distortion to get it as flat and as accurate as possible, and upload it into a software called ImageJ. ImageJ will allow us to set up the image of the pizza on a coordinate plane in terms of centimeters and assign every single point that I marked with the toothpicks an ordered pair, which will help us significantly with the calculations we'll do in a bit. Alright, so as you can see, the Domino's measurements are done. Hopefully I explained what I was actually doing in post, because I really don't feel like doing it now. I think it's only fair that I reveal the rest of our lineup to you before I confuse you with more stuff. So we've got Domino's like we have right here, and then we have Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, 7-Eleven, and a special guest appearance from Lou Malnati's. Lou Malnati's is a classic here in the windy city that is Chicago, and I definitely wouldn't consider it fast food. It's more high quality and more expensive, but I did throw it in here to see if higher quality pizza chains really do put more time and effort into their pizzas compared to these more fast foody, lower quality chains. So there definitely is some weight going into this competition, except I could probably already tell you who's gonna lose. It's gonna be Papa John's, Pizza Hut, and Little Caesars. Like, okay. Look at how warped this crust is. It's like I asked them to do this. So then you're thinking, okay, yeah, Little Caesars are pretty bad. It's gonna come in last, right? Look at this. Is this the standards you hold yourselves to, Pizza Hut? And I didn't change this at all. The cheese is still attached here. It's like they used the recycled pizza like they did at Chuck E. Cheese that one time. And then you're thinking, okay, yeah, like literally uneven slices. There's no way you can get worse than that, right? Are we really serious? This pizza makes me the angriest because if it didn't have whatever happened here, it probably would win. As you can see, the cheese is still attached here. Like, I thought this happened in the car ride home and I knocked it and like, oh, I'll have to fix it. No, it came like this. It is almost like I called up that minimum wage worker and asked them to cut it in half and do this abomination with it. So, yeah, as much as I would like to say it's going to be a close competition, it's just not. Also, I have to get this out of the way considering the nature of this video. Domino's is the best. I don't care. You could fight me all you want. Domino's is the best, and I will die on that hill. Anyways, I have to do this like 5 more times, so in the meantime, you get to listen to me yap about more math. That's right, you do. Here's what we're going to do to calculate how perfect these pizzas actually are. First, we got to find the center of the pizza, which, if you didn't know, we can find by taking the average of every single x and y coordinate point that we spent so much time plotting. We need to find the center so we can properly measure the distance from each point. Then we're going to find the radius of every single coordinate point, or each coordinate point's distance from the center of the circle. Then we're going to average all of those radii to find the radius of best fit. The radius of best fit is just the size of a circle that most closely matches the pizza overall. It's the reference point that we're going to use to measure just how uneven or even the crust really is. This is better than using just one radius because a lopsided pizza can have one radius that looks perfect, even if the rest of the crust is warped. Think about it this way. If you want to find out if you're a short king or not, you're not going to compare yourself to the height of one person that you know. You're going to compare yourself to the average height, because one person could be way, way shorter than you, and one person could be way, way taller than you, and that wouldn't tell you anything meaningful. It's the same thing here. Anyway, once we get that average or mean radius, we're going to subtract every single point's radii from that mean radius to get its deviation from the mean radius, or just how far off or how close it was to the mean radius. We're then going to square all those deviations and take the average of all those squared deviations to find the standard deviation of the radii. The standard deviation tells us, on average, how far off the radii were from that mean radius. The lower the standard deviation, the closer the radii were in value, making the circle more perfect. Then our final calculation is dividing the standard deviation of the radii by the mean radius to get what's called our coefficient of variation. It sounds intimidating, but it's really just a way for us to compare pizzas of different sizes using one dimensionless number so size doesn't bias the results. For example, a 1 centimeter divot on a 10-inch pizza is a way larger error than a 1 centimeter divot on a 15-inch pizza, and this ratio captures that. Even if both pizzas were to have the same standard deviation, dividing by the mean radius shows us that the smaller pizza is proportionally more uneven. The closer to zero this ratio equals, the more perfectly circular it is. And based off of those values, that is how we'll get our final ranking. Hopefully you learned something from all that, but it looks like I'm just about done measuring all those puppies. So,
Time to see who has the most mathematically perfect pizza. Yeah, me and Post was lying. I was not almost done because it's now the next day. So, it's been quite the productive 24 hours.
So now that I'm the master at putting toothpicks into pizza for 12 hours, here's our ranking. Tonight's biggest loser is Pizza Hut. Would you believe that this ranking is going to go exactly how I said it would? Pizza Hut had a final circularity score, or a coefficient of variation score, of 0.1543. Which is not good, like, at all. If it makes it a little bit easier to understand, if you really want to at this point, you can multiply it by 100 to get it like a percent scale, so it would be 15.43% error, I guess you could say, for this pizza. So not good at all. Do better, Pizza Hut, please. You saw that Pizza Hut pizza. You and I both knew that it wasn't going to break the top 3. Pretty disappointing performance by the kid. Just come back next year, man. It happens to the best of us. Following Pizza Hut is Little Caesars with a final circularity score of 0.147 or 14.7% error. I thought this pizza was going to do a little bit better, but I guess I just measured on the 10-degree intervals right where like the greatest deviations and the waves were from the center. I don't know. We all knew they were going to be down here anyway. Following the Caesar is, would you believe it, Big Papa John with a final score of 0.1259 or 12.59%. No words need to be said. You saw how that crust was. Now we're entering the podium with actually competent pizzas. And in third place is, unfortunately, Domino's. With a final score of 0.0572 or 5.72%. I guess Domino's can't be number one in everything, but it's number one where it matters, alright? You can't convince me otherwise, man. So now the competition for the best pizza now comes down to Lou Malnati's and 7-Eleven. Which is a sentence that has probably never left anybody's mouth. So it is now my honor to present the title of the most mathematically perfect pizza to Lou Malnati's. That's right, Chicago's the best at counting M&Ms and making perfect pizzas. 7-Eleven had a final coefficient of variation of 0.0423 or 4.23% error, and Lou Malnati's had a final score of 0.0398. Or 3.98%. A neck-and-neck competition, I will say. 7-Eleven definitely deserves their honors. So Lou Malnati's is definitively the pizza chain with the most mathematically perfect pizza. Except it isn't. You may have picked up on this during the experiment, but I only bought one pizza per chain because I've been chronically diagnosed with unemployment, and I can't financially recover from buying 50 pizzas. So these results are inconsistent at best. So, heart to heart, I need your help. That's why I created this spreadsheet for you to use to conduct this experiment all by your lonesome self. This is actually what I used to do all the math that I was talking about earlier, and now you can as well because I coded it to do it all for you. Now, do I actually expect you to meticulously recreate this experiment exactly how I did? No, not even in the slightest, but I can guarantee at least some of you considered or even planned on opening up that spreadsheet and playing around with it. And honestly, that's all I really need. Because the goal of this channel is to create an outlet for curious minds, not just to learn, but to be inspired to question. Questioning the makeup of our surroundings, the uniqueness of our nature, and the systems we have built is what has ultimately driven some of the greatest advancements in our world. So while I don't expect you to spend your time putting toothpicks into pizzas or whatever I was doing, I do expect you to question your surroundings and think a little deeper. Question how things work, not to tear them down, but to understand them more clearly. Question the patterns you notice in everyday life. Question the assumptions behind common beliefs, and question the numbers you see without thinking about what they actually represent. Question why certain methods are effective, why others fail, and how small changes can lead to very, very different outcomes. Because when you think about it, our world is just one giant question we dedicate our lives to solving. And one unique perspective is all it takes to spark a giant breakthrough.
Even if it starts with something as minuscule as a pizza. Thank you for watching.